Welcome back. In a surprising move, the Environmental Protection Agency proposed reversing what's called the endangerment finding. That found that greenhouse gases threaten human health. Earlier, I spoke to EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin about that decision. You've argued that you can grow the economy and protect the environment, but some of EPA's own regulatory analysis, which cites Energy Department data, suggests very strongly that that will increase the cost and demand for gasoline for American consumers by quite a bit. How do those two things add up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just not going to go along, and the president won't, and most of the American public with the EV mandates that have come up. That's the assumption that's relied on when those statements are being made, is that we're just going to make Americans switch from gas-powered vehicles to electric vehicles. It's been met with a lot of resistance, even in states like California. We're not just seeing EV mandates at the state level, but it was also done during the last administration. With regards to the amount of regulations that followed the 2009 endangerment finding, which was a finding specifically related to mobile sources, but to follow, we ended up seeing trillions of dollars worth of regulations on mobile sources, on stationary sources, and then that led to the electric vehicle mandate and more. And that's the trajectory that we've been on, where regulations, in some respects, were seeking to strangulate out of existence entire sectors of our economy, and specifically our energy economy. And that is part of the mess that we inherited, that the American public spoke loudly and clearly about as they were talking about their own economic concerns for this country, their desire to be able to afford to heat their home, their desire to be able to both heat their home while also getting the prescription drugs they need and filling up their fridge with the groceries that they need. It's important that we are applying common sense, that we are cognizant of these economic demands, and that wherever possible, when we can protect the environment and grow the economy, that we will choose both.
And how do you toggle between, Mr. Administrator, those economic concerns you vocalized and statistics that existed long before the Biden administration took over the Environmental Protection Agency, showing that environmental regulations save lives and improve health outcomes? How do you balance those two? Because there's plenty of data that suggests with endangerment and other rollbacks, health outcomes may be jeopardized. Lives could be put at risk.
Yeah, so what ended up happening with the endangerment finding in 2009, while some like to very simply fast forward to 2025 and sum up the 2009 endangerment finding as simply as saying that they found that carbon dioxide endangers public health and welfare, that's not what the endangerment finding did. Back in 2009, while focusing on mobile sources, what they said was that carbon dioxide, when mixed with 5 other well-mixed gases, the greenhouse gases, that they contribute to global climate change. They didn't say cause, but they used to contribute. How much? They don't say, but it's just north of 0. We know that much. And then they say that global climate change endangers public health and welfare. Now, here's the problem. After 2009 and the endangerment finding, the Supreme Court weighed in cases like Loper Bright, West Virginia, Michigan, Loper Bright overturning the Chevron doctrine,
Right.
These decisions ruling with the major policy doctrine, that agencies can't be getting creative with statute, in this case, Section 202 of the Clean Air Act, and coming up with all of these many different mental leaps that are not included in statute, and then use that to create trillions of dollars of regulation and to get rid of entire sectors of the economy and put an EV mandate. Here's my message. If Congress wants the EPA to be regulating the heck out of carbon dioxide, well, they could put it inside of law. But even the endangerment finding itself in 2009 never individually studied carbon dioxide as an endangerment to public health and welfare. They had to do all these other mental leaps because they didn't have the science and the data to be able to make a direct connection. The other thing that they did that was different, when I mentioned that they were trying to combat global climate change, that was the approach that they took. The EPA never did that, and Section 202 doesn't address it. What was happening was, in the past, was that they were looking at local and regional impacts of the air pollutants, which many were specified specifically in the statute. but they didn't, again, in 2009, have the data, the science to be able to make that direct connection, and that's why they changed it up to try to go off of a global climate change angle, which has been in existence now for 16 years. But the Supreme Court has weighed in. Clean Air Act is very clearly worded as it relates to this point, and we are not going to be taking great liberty and being creative and trying to interpret the law however we want it to read, where there might be a vague language or ambiguity. We will take the plain language of the statute, and if Congress wants us to interpret the statute any way other than the reading of the statute, then they should amend the statute.
You can watch my extended interview with EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin on the Takeout YouTube page and on all available podcast platforms.